Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. And as you can see on the screen, we've got a returning guest with us, a fan favorite. I just have to say, anywhere I go that I run into people and people know who I am or what I do here, the single most common comment I get is, "We love hearing from Bo." It just happened like 3 times this week. And so it's been a while since we've talked to him, and we had to have him back on. The analyst of time, Bo Polny, welcome back to the show.
Noah, thank you. Boy, do we have a lot to catch up and talk about. And it's only been like maybe 2 or 3 weeks since our last interview.
That's exactly right. I was going to say it hasn't been that long. It's been a few weeks, but time we're aging in dog years, it seems like recently. And actually you said that. You said watch for the end of January, first part of February, because things are going to start to accelerate at a level that we haven't really seen yet. And we're going to get into it. But I mean, even just today, I've been covering the news and I've been looking at things. I've lost track of how many different train derailments we've had. We've got different buildings and manufacturing facilities on fire. Down in Kissimmee, Florida, there's one just went up in flames again today. Airplanes going down. A military helicopter went down either this morning or yesterday. I forget what it was. Up in flames, all occupants lost. And this is happening every day now. So boy, oh boy, were you right when you said watch for an acceleration at the end of January, early February. And we're living through it, aren't we?
Right. You know, all I know is when I looked at my time patterns, I saw that everything was going to be as January was ending, we're going to see a lot of, because that was a very time point. You'll see all the math was pointing to the end of January. All the math was showing that was like the end. And then starting February, events were supposed to start popping off. What have we seen? It's been crazy. Event after event after event as February began. So I don't have to tell you, except, you know, our God's amazing. Nothing I do is because of me. God's just shown me how to interpret his timelines. And again, I'm not perfect, but I do. God has shown me things in terms of how to do calculations. And all I know is, go back and look at, many of the past analysis we've done, Noah, they freak me out still to this day. And the fact that these things are popping off right now as February began into the middle of February now, wow. I don't know what else to say. It's wow, but it's happening. It's on schedule.
It is, and we'll talk about some of those specific examples in a minute. And Bo, I think that's why people love hearing from you, is because you do have this humble approach. You've been given this insight of how to do things by God, and you're using those talents and gifts. He gives everybody different talents and gifts, and you're using those to put this out there, and it's wonderful. For those who don't know you, we always have new people popping in every time we do an interview. We get about 4 to 6 million people reading and watching everything we do every month, and that's growing, and that means new people are coming in. So for people that haven't heard of you, it's on the screen behind you. It says Bo Polny, analyst of time. You look at the time cycles in our world, the time cycles that are very clearly laid out in the Bible, tons of time cycles in the Bible, from cycles of days, cycles of months, cycles in the sky above us, moon, stars moving in an orbit that they've been set into. You take all of those, you look at the cycles in the financial markets, gold, silver, the cycles in the stock market, cryptocurrency, and you somehow put it all together. And we're going to put your slides up in a minute. Everyone can see those. They're always so beautiful and just full of information. That's how I describe it. How do you describe it, Bo? Tell everybody, if they're hearing you for the first time, what is it that you do and how do you do this?
Right. The best analogy is, when you take the Bible, you read in the Bible, it says, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, right? And so I take time windows, like I call them time windows. So if you read the story of Daniel or Matthew, it talks about, the 70 weeks of Daniel, or it talks about, the 7-year tribulation. So those are specific numbers. The Bible doesn't have random numbers. Everything about the Bible is specific in terms of when God speaks, a specific use of words. Now, the beautiful thing about what I do is, if you take the Bible, I mean, people say, well, but the Bible has been manipulated. There's 100 different versions of it. Well, first off, the bottom line of the story of the Bible is very simple. Jesus came to this earth. He walked on the earth as the Son of God. He died on the cross. He rose on the 3rd day, and he ascended back to heaven. So that is the truth. You can look at 100 different versions of the Bible, and it's all in there the same way. It might be different interpretations, different readings of them. But the point is, I don't even look at that side of it. I look at just the math. And in all 100 or whatever many versions of the Bible, 40 days is 40 days. 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years, is 1,260 days. It does, the math never changes. So all I've done is I've taken those math windows of time and I apply in the present day. And it's incredible what is able to be calculated. In simple examples, when gold, well, first off, when oil went to zero in the year below zero, negative $38 a barrel in April of 2020. That was predicted in March by simply using calculations of time. Then the death of Ginsburg, that was simply using another calculation of from April, when oil went to zero, the water rose for 150 days. Well, 150 days forward just happens to be the exact day Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. So I'm just saying you can take these windows in the Bible. I don't know the event because I have no idea, but I do know important dates. This, like I said, expect big things to start popping off here as February begins. And lo and behold, on February 6th, what happened? We had the massive earthquake. That was in
Turkey.
Forget this. In Turkey, right? So the massive earthquake in Turkey. But forget even that. How awesome is this, right? The first week, so February 8th, what happened? The revival that hasn't stopped yet at Asbury College.
Yes,
yes. It began exactly as February. The first week is what happened on the 8th. 8th God. So it happened on February 8th, and it started what is about to get insane as we progress here this year.
Yes, that is such an amazing story. And for anybody that hasn't seen it, I'll put a link down below this video. It's been going on for, I think today is day 5 or 6. And it's or maybe 7. It might be longer than that by now. Whatever the 8th is, today's the 16th. So that's 8 days now. It's been going on. Really incredible. They started this worship service and it just never stopped, and it's been going continuously. And if that reminds you of anything, it's you might remember Azusa Street, and it's a lot like that, and some other ones too.
Because remember, the 2023 this year is going to be the year of everything changing, everything, and it starts with the Holy Spirit. It starts with the glory manifesting here on this earth. And so God's starting to move. And when was he supposed to start to move? Well, the cycles pointed to the start of February. And what do we got? It all is happening, like I said earlier, on schedule.
Yes, and I got to get your slides up here, Bo, because we are jumping right into this. There's so much of this in these slides. Before I turn you loose on these, I'm going to go down to slide 4. There's a great QR code, like you always do. Anyone that wants to get your phone out, just point, no special app needed. Point your camera app right at this QR code. It's going to give you a link's going to pop up on the screen. That'll give you this. You can download these slides 100% for free, or I'll put just a clickable link below this. You can get these too. I know a lot of people get these, save them, look back on them. So get them and follow along with us, but I'll put them on the screen here too. And Bo, you have a lot. I just page through this. You have a lot of new stuff in here. So I'm going to let you take the driver's seat and talk us through what we're looking at here.
Thanks, Noah. And again, this PDF presentation, there's thousands of hours in this. It's all verified scripturally, which is important because you have to have, scripture to verify. And secondly, much of the information, most of the information is even verified further with prophetic insight of many prophets, who are verifying things that they are stating, verify the information within this PDF. And the truth always comes in 2 or more witnesses. So between between the scripture, the word, and then secondly, the word of the prophets, I'm telling you this information, Noah, there's so much information within these charts and within this PDF presentation. And the fact is, bottom line is, it is prophetic, the information within here of things that are about to manifest here on this earth.
Yeah, very good. And I think that's why people love having you on so much, is because you do ground it in those biblical truths. And if there's something, we can all disagree. And I know Bo has his theories. I actually kind of remain open-minded. I don't have a strong feeling on end times and when we're in the seals and the trumpets. And Bo, you've got a great presentation on that. And I know every time I see comments about, oh, that can't be right, or no, I believe something else. But you are very grounded on the core, just like you said. The core story of the Bible is very clear, and you always bring it back to that, which is so good. And if something doesn't line up with what the Bible says, then you don't cover it. So I love that, and I think that's why people love hearing from you. And on the rest of it, we can all. I love listening to your presentation, and I know I read some comments, and some people think we're not in a certain seal yet, or a trumpet, or whatever. We're all finding out together, but I think your presentation is incredible, and we're going to go through some of those. But thank you for always keeping it grounded.
No, I appreciate it again. And all I know is that everything that I've done, there's thousands of hours in this, and I personally get downloads, I get keywords from God, and I'm telling you, when I put the pieces together, line it up with Scripture and the prophetic, those that don't agree, that's their choice. Everybody has the right to free will and their own opinions, but the point is good luck in timeline to try to really discredit too much of this, because it's incredible how this is playing out, and we're literally watching these things manifest right in front of us, here, right now. So
yes, and Bo,
it's amazing to watch these things happen.
That's what I was just going to say. It is amazing to watch, and the really fun thing is you put this out, and you don't take these slides down. Your reports that you put out, they don't go away. These videos, I don't delete these videos. People can go back and watch. And what I've seen just in the 2 or 3 years that I've been talking with you is sometimes when you first talk about something, it sounds like, oh, that's crazy, that's never going to happen. And then 2 or 3 years later, it's all over the news. I mean, how many times have we seen that happen where you were one of the first to talk about Roe versus Wade being overturned, and no one other than you thought that was going to happen. And then it did. And it's just been countless things like that over and over that they sound crazy at first, and then they end up being true. And you can go back and watch 2 years ago when Bo told you first.
Right. Well, then we also, what's the other big one, right? The BRICS. Right.
Yes.
What happened when Saudi Arabia signed a military agreement in 2021 with Russia, like the next day or the day after, I think was on with you and a couple other people saying this is the game changer. Within 2 years, you're going to see a collapse of the US dollar. Everybody thought it was crazy, only to find out what's everybody talking about now in the finances, right? They're talking about the BRICS. They're talking about that Saudi Arabia just now actually is accepting payment in the US in payment in other currencies, not only the US dollar. And the big talk of the financial system is the dollar now, because people are concerned about what could and may happen because of what the BRICS are now doing with Saudi Arabia. And we're this far from things about to manifest on that event, because this summer is 2 years. So between now and this summer, you're going to see the collapse of the US dollar. The US dollar is going to lose its status as the world reserve currency, which is going to lead to the start of our presentation, Mystery Babylon, their end.
And it's going to be the
end.
Yes, and it's going to be at the end of our presentation too, because when that happens, there's a massive impact on gold, silver, and cryptocurrency. We'll get to that at the end. You better believe we're going to talk about that. Huge things, even as we're recording this, are happening about Bitcoin. So stay tuned on that. But for right now, Bo's going to tell us what's new here.
So you bring up Bitcoin, right? So we'll talk about that, because the analysis that we put out for Bitcoin, because you get our updates since October. Noah, we've nailed every turn so far. The cycle's nailed every turn, including what just happened this past weekend. It's insane. So we'll talk about that. But point I'm trying to make is nothing about tomorrow is random. Tomorrow's not random. God wrote the end from the beginning. You can go back and study the story of Daniel, the Daniel 2 prophecy. It's 2,500 years, stands to date. God makes fools of diviners, of the magicians, because there's no prophecy that has stood the test of 2,500 years, but the Daniel 2 prophecy has. Why? Because it's God's story. He wrote the end from the beginning. And we happen to live at the very end of that story, where Daniel 2 verse 34, and a stone carved out by no human hand takes down Babylon. So when you go to page 1, Mystery Babylon, who takes them down? God. God gets the glory. No man's going to get the glory, but he told us in Daniel 2, and a stone carved out by no human hand takes down Babylon.
Yeah, so good.
What is Mystery Babylon? It's always been a mystery, right? But at times we get revelation, we get more revelation, things speed up, right? So what is Mystery Babylon? It's
Mm,
the deep state.
mm.
It's the deep state. It's the harlot. It's the harlot that's written in Revelation. And so where did I start doing all this? I can go back to the beginning of when I started analyzing time, and page 2, what I came to realize is that time moves on God's clock based on God's money. I'm going to repeat. Time moves on God's clock based on God's money. And so if you study gold, Haggai 2, verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. It's
Mhm.
rather crazy, but what happened? When the year 2000 began, gold began a upcycle. It continued up, and this is kind of what kind of gave you my notoriety, was in the year 2011, I was able to predict the exact day and
Mm,
week gold topped.
mm.
How did I
Wow.
use it? Or how did I calculate that? It's not a secret. I used Daniel timeline, 1260-day cycle in the Bible. and gold topped on September 6th, 2011.
Wow.
It was calculated. And then 3.5 years go by, gold bottoms, and what? That's the year 2015. Gold made a bottom at $1,050. And then 7 years forward, what? Daniel's timeline, 7 years, right? 7 years forward takes us into March 6th of 2020 last year. But gold didn't break out. So actually, this slide here on page 2, I just got this morning. God actually said, you didn't calculate it right. You got to go back and you got to add the year of Jubilee because I adjusted the time.
Oh, the 50th year.
Right. I forgot to calculate that,
Hmm.
right? So if you add an extra year, that takes us to March 6th of 2023. Gold and silver are about to embark on something awesome beginning this March, which just happens to be, if you go back and check March, what happens on March 6th biblically, Noah, you can't make this stuff up, okay? It just happens to be Purim.
That's a big one.
Yeah, if you know what happened to Haman, he
Yeah, can
hung on
we
a gallows,
right here?
okay?
Here you go.
Yeah. So how does it happen that when you run the gold cycle from the top in the year 2011, September 6th, you run 3.5 years and another 7 years forward, lo and behold, you land on Purim 2023 by adding 1 year for the Jubilee. Noah,
Mm.
this is insanity. It's an impossibility, but God makes the impossible possible.
This is such.
Everything that's going to happen this year is impossible. My presentation today, 99% of it is impossible.
Hmm.
Why? Because it is. But then God is the master of making the impossible possible. The things that we're going to talk about are going to sound crazy. Better word to it, crazy is impossible, but God's about to manifest, meaning the glory is about to come to this earth, and we're going to see incredible things. So 30 days before we get to March 6th, right? You had the earthquake on February 6th. 2 days later, you had this massive revival break out. This is crazy. So 30 days before Purim, 30 days before Purim, you have this incredible earthquake, but most importantly, we've got this incredible revival manifesting right in front of our eyes. We're watching it happen and it hasn't ended yet, Noah. This revival has not ended. It's just, how does this happen? But the Asbury Revival is ongoing and it hasn't ended.
And isn't that the way it always goes? It's almost like the dark is getting darker, and then you have revival breaking out in the midst. It's never one or the other. They both tend to happen at the same time, and we're seeing that. Just pull up the news; we see it every day.
Right, exactly. And you said things about getting brighter, right? We're in spring, heading into, this is winter, heading into spring, heading into summer, right? What's the longest day of the year?
June,
June
July.
21, summer solstice. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm telling you, by the summer solstice, forget about it. These people are finished. They are exposed for what they have done behind closed doors, because the light will shine on all the deals done in the dark by the summer solstice, by the end of this June. It's going to be historic how this is about to play out. So There's so much information we can cover here. Noah, go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, well, we're on page 3 of your slides, and you've got this incredible story. I think most people know it, but Esther and Haman. Maybe we can recap that story in a minute, but it ends with Haman's execution by hanging, and on the very gallows that he built for the Jews, he ends up the tables get turned. Can you talk a little bit about? I mean, you're literally saying this might be coming here, and before people. And maybe you can talk about what dates you see that we might literally see some of this happening. But can you talk about what here? I want to share my screen, because for anybody that thinks that's crazy, and by the way, I want to make very clear that and I want to put words in your mouth, but you're talking about legally. I mean, we're not talking about anything. We're talking about following the Constitution, rule of law. But guess what's in the Constitution? It's the penalty for treason is pretty severe, isn't it? And so I want to show this screen here,
And
because
also, just in terms of the treason, right? You have to understand, right? The our legal system doesn't allow for it. Only the military.
there you
What
go.
I understand. So the military has to come in and do it, not our legal justice system, because it will be the military would be involved in what's called military tribunals.
There you go.
And so that's how it would, because again, our legal system does not, it's a system that involves finance, law, but doesn't involve the execution, from what I understand, in terms of legal military tribunals or hangings. So go ahead, Noah.
Yes. Well, no, that's very good insight. And I just wanted to put this article up here because this is one more of those examples of where some people might say, "Oh, Bo, come on, you really think there's going to be actual public executions?" This is Rolling Stone, and I understand they're far left, and this article may be designed to make Trump look bad. I don't know the details on that, but I do know that this is mainstream news, Rolling Stone, and look what the headline is: Trump plans to bring back firing squads, group executions. And then down here, there's even talk about gallows. And so here it is: by death by firing squad, by hanging, and according to 2 sources, possibly even by guillotine. So look, I don't know how serious this article is, but I do know this: I know Bo is not off the mark. And to be, let me go back to your slides, because to see in your slides that you just so happen to have this slide right here. You got a timeline on that, Bo? Anything that your cycles are showing for when we might see some of this happening?
Right. So you have to understand and look back historically. So I don't know. Again, everything that's stated in this interview, these are my opinions based on history, but I don't know what's going to happen. Get it? I don't know how this is going to happen or if this is going to happen, but I can tell you, based on studying history and what happened to Haman, he and his 10 sons hung on the gallows. Okay. So why do I bring this up? Well, this is a very specific reason. Number one is, can you click on page 5 for a second? Because
Sure.
The next page talks about Hitler, and then we're going to go back to Haman. But basically, when Hitler came to power, he came to power specifically on January 30th of 1933. Well, 90 years ago was this past January. So now we're in the 90-year cycle for Hitler. Before he came to power, there was a blood moon on an eclipse on Purim. Okay, so you don't get eclipses on Purim. You get a lot of eclipses, but the fact that Purim lands on it is a complete anomaly. It rarely ever happens. You can go back hundreds of years and study it. But before he came to power, there was Purim and an eclipse on the same day. He came to power, then the next eclipse and the next Purim happened to be a Purim with an eclipse again, and then it hasn't happened in a long. I think it might have been one or something since, but no, not in duplicate or in triplicate, nothing like that. So when Hitler came to power, very important time point because it happened between 2 Purims. That makes sense. Now, 90 years later is this April 20th. There's an eclipse again, which happens to be Hitler's birthday. So what does that mean? I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's an important revelation that we're getting here. We're going to find out how things play out. And you do know that Elon Musk tweeted something about 420. I don't know if you know that.
He does that from time to time, doesn't he?
So I don't know I don't know what he means, or I don't know what anybody has to say or what's happening. I'm just saying that's an important date. What happens, God knows, not me. So now let's go back to page 3, and you're asking about Purim. Okay. So the reason I brought that up is because we got April 30th. I'm sorry, we got April 20th. We have an eclipse, a solar eclipse. Then the next 3 Purims in the year 2024, 2025, and 2026, we specifically have what? We have got Purim landing on eclipses, and that's never happened before. So I've coined that and calling this what's called the Haman effect. So what these people have done on the earth, the seeds that they have planted to destroy humanity, okay, they're going to reap what they have sown. So if you read Galatians 6, verse 7, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth means that if you plant an evil seed, you yourself will reap evil on your own head. And so that's what happened to Haman. So what's with the Purims and the blood moons for the next 3 years are telling us that specifically what happened to Haman is about to happen to these people who have mocked God and to try to destroy his creation. So what I'm writing there is beginning this March, it's Purim, God's glory is expected to begin and manifest and continue for the next 3.5 years into the end of the year 2026, putting events of end time on hold as God brings vengeance on those who have mocked him. Beginning this year, 2023, the next 3.5 years is harvest. Therefore, expect many like Haman to hang.
Wow.
Okay. So how it plays out, we're going to find out. But I'm telling you, we are living in biblical times, biblical days, and crazy things are about to manifest here on this earth.
Our guest today is Bo Polny. He's back with us again, and we are having a great time. Bo, I'm going to let you keep going. We're only on slide 3. You've got so much in here. Where do you want to go next?
Page 6, please. So we talked about, this was on our last show we said as February began, so we had a lot of events culminating into the end of January. You can see all the important timelines. You know, the Jackal's presidency was 2 years. Roe v. Wade is now 50 years, which is Leviticus. Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. So this is 50 years officially here. The doomsday clock was updated on 124. 90 years, Hitler came to power. So everything basically culminated into the last week, 10 days of January, which then leads us into first 10 days of February. Boom, and the Asbury Revival occurs right on schedule. Again, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew between the first 10 days, something big should manifest as February began. And look, lo and behold, you know, an incredible revival that has not ended yet. It's still going. So that's the glory of God. You know, so we've stepped into, and why did it happen? Well, why? Because Roe v. Wade's overturned. If God is with us, who can be against us? And so we overturned Roe v. Wade, and now 50 years began, and look what happened.
Yes,
This is incredible.
I just pulled it up on the screen, Bo, and it's even gotten so big that Tucker covered it last night. So I'm not going to play that because that'll probably get us a copyright strike. But I'll put this link below. You can go watch it yourself. I've got the link right here. Tucker spent about 5 minutes on it last night, and here's, you can just, I won't play these, but you can see the pictures. Look at that. They're packed up, standing room only in the balcony of this Asbury University Hughes Chapel. Incredible stuff. Go. We won't do it right now, but go take your time and go look at that one right there. Go take your time and watch that. That's what Bo's talking about. This is happening now. It's been going on for 8 days, and it's not stopping.
No, and I highly doubt it's going to stop, because we are now stepping into the greatest revival in human history. Okay, because the latter rain will be greater than the former rain. Haggai 2 verse 9. So we are now witnessing the birth. You know, well, the latter rain was birthed on Pentecost of 2020. So this Pentecost, the latter rain, is going to be 3 years old. The point is, we're now witnessing the Holy Spirit. You know, we're witnessing God's manifestation, and we're witnessing the birth, the beginning of the revival, which is just going to get more incredible as every day, as every week, and you know, and next 3 years go by. It's going to be incredible what's about to happen. And wait till you see, you know, the intensity that where it's going to be at here into May or end of May, because that's Pentecost. So it's only going to intensify more and more and more as we progress now into March, into April, into May. But now let's talk about some important dates. Okay, so we've talked about how beginning of February triggers everything. And then we've talked secondly about Purim, March 6, 7. So that's when I believe we're going to see a very important move beginning in precious metals, which means that if precious metals are beginning to move, remember, Satan hates for gold and silver to ever go up in price because they're God's money and they want satanic money, the US dollar, which has not been backed by gold in 50 years plus. And so they want to continue using their money. So how is God going to stop evil? Attack the money. He's going to destroy he's going to destroy evil's money. And that's how we're going to start to see the collapse, and which leads us into what's called the clash of the Titans, which is, you go to page 7. So page 7, so we've said March 6 is Purim. The next important date, this is not God's date, this is Satan's date. Evil operates on this date. Now, I'll give you a couple of crazy examples, but if you go study, go look at the movie, pull it up, Olympus Has Fallen, the attack on the White House, they put that movie out on March 22nd. This is the Skull and Bones number 322 of Yale University. What it means, they know, not me. I'm just putting pieces together, okay? So it's incredible, but 322 is when this movie, Olympus Has Fallen, came out. Now, even more incredible, if you study what happened with Hitler, if you go to page 10, when he came to power, Noah, the first concentration camp, was opened on Skull and Bones, March 22nd, 1933.
Wow.
You can't make this up.
They love that date, don't they?
Yes. And so 90 years to the precise date is this March 22nd. So if you go back to page 7, is something going to happen there? Does the White House get attacked? I don't know. Do they pull the alien card and start talking about aliens? Why do they do that, right? Because the financial system's falling apart, as an example. So, this is financial system's falling apart, but they want you to look that way, right? And that way, they're going to pull the alien card. They're starting to do that now, right? They've seen these objects in the sky, right? So is the alien card pulled? Could be, but it's early because the alien is going to be related to Antichrist, and that's still years down the road. So all of this is nothing but the word deception. It's deception. So what happens 322? I don't know. My cycles, you got my crypto cycles, you see my charts, what it's pointing to, what it's saying could happen and supposed to happen in terms of Bitcoin and its movements, right, on 322. It's in my reports, okay?
Yes, it is.
And then, so what happens? I don't know, but the chart's already saying which direction Bitcoin's going. It's interesting, but it is, right?
Yep.
So that leads us into next page, page 8. These people on page 8, they're going down. The puppet masters are going down. Who are the puppet masters that run Mystery Babylon, which is written in Revelation 17, verse 5? It's Klaus Schwab. Well, he just happened to found the World Economic Forum 50 years ago. None of this is random. Bill Gates, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, okay? We're going to see the collapse of the 7 hills that they've built using fake money. So everything begins to collapse. Page 9, we're going to start seeing the collapse of Mystery Babylon. So the church begins to fall apart. You're going to come to realize that they've been lying to you. Again, when I say the church, I mean religion. Religion hates love. Who's God? Love, okay? All religions of this world, I'm not picking on one of them, all of them are made by man. They've been around for hundreds or thousands of years, and Satan's been on this earth for thousands of years. He's intervened in every single religion, and he's corrupted every single one of them. The only truth is the kingdom, godly kingdom. Christ is king, period. That is the only truth. Religion is a man-made thing to control man, okay? The truth is God is king, Son Jesus Christ sits at his right hand, and he's bringing heaven to earth, and we're going to see a kingdom economy and a kingdom world. Thy kingdom come. It's written in the Lord's Prayer. God's bringing heaven to earth. Thy kingdom come. And so And God's not going to come to this earth that's corrupt, completely corrupt. The church, the family, look what they're doing with families. Look what they're doing with the kids right now, right? Gender affirmation. Talk about having God pissed at you, right? That's the worst thing you can do is touch his children. We've turned away from our wicked ways. We've overturned Roe v. Wade. They did it with a financial system. They've controlled humanity with the finances. The education system we know is about to blow up. The government that we know is about to blow up. The entertainment's about to blow up. The media is about to blow up. It's all about to blow up because thy kingdom's coming. And what's happening? Before Christ came to the earth, who was on the earth? John the Baptist. What did he scream? What was he screaming in the wilderness? Prepare the way for the Lord. Your show, Noah, you're no different. We're on this earth right now doing no different what John the Baptist was doing. Prepare the way for the Lord. He's returning. And before he returns, the 7 hills must fall. So on page 9, those are the 7 hills. They're all coming down. All those hills come down that you see on page 9. They're all going to come down. That's the harlot riding a scarlet beast. They're coming down. And so page 10 talks about the importance of what they might do. That's their date. So we may see something crazy going off here on March 22nd, Skull and Bones. And then that leads us into page 11. Again, you study the cycle of, these are the present day pharaohs. Mystery Babylon, the deep state, they are the present day pharaohs. Well, what happened to Pharaoh at the end of 400 years? He was destroyed by God, not by Moses, by God. Moses was God's anointed, doing God's work. God destroyed Pharaoh, period. How long was Israel in bondage to Pharaoh? 400 years. When did the Mayflower land? 400 years ago. That takes us to 2020. What started in 2020? Corona.
Yes, that's right.
Right on the mark. The beginning of the end. Why is it taking 2 more years? We talked about this on your show, I believe, last time. The story of Joseph. Joseph, how long has the current administration been in presidency? That's called a jackal administration. How long have they been in administration, in their position? 2 years. Have you studied the story of Joseph? How long was he in the pits before he went to the second in command of all the world? Because at the time, Egypt was the world. How many? 2 years.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So 2 years ended January 20th. 3 weeks ago. So we are now at the end of 2 years. So his term is over. So what day does he come in? God knows, not me, but he comes back. So he leaves, and we have 45 return this year, because no different than what happened to Joseph, from the pits to the palace. But Joseph came to be in second in command of all the world, only to answer to the king at the time, which was Pharaoh, which is Babylon. This time, 45 returns to be second in command of all the world, only to answer to God the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So we are about to witness a return like you've never, ever seen before. If we, when could these things happen? Well, if you look at page 12.
And you've been really holding on to that, Bo. You haven't backed down. You've said 45 is coming back this year, and you just said it again. I just want to be clear in case someone missed that. That's big. Right.
I initially thought that it was going to be last year. Okay. If I'm off by a year, who cares? But more importantly, right? Why? Because of the 1 year gold calculation I showed at the beginning of this presentation, you had this morning, the revelation was very clear. Okay. So you can double confirm it. One was the story of Joseph, 2 years, pits of the palace. And the second is the gold cycle. If you add the 1 extra year from 2020, you have 2020 to 2022, you have to add 1 more year, March 6th of 2023, by adding the 1 year. That takes us to this March. So we are at an incredible time window right here, right now. Now, when could some of these things really start to trigger and manifest? Well, we said Purim is an important time point. But it again, there are events that are going to be like hitting the world, right? And so Passover is even more important. So if you look at page 13 is insane. So the things I'm going to reveal to you right now, Noah, are mind-blowing. The 15th of Nisan. Write this down. 15th of Nisan is incredibly important, not in our world, but to God. It's biblical. On the 15th of Nisan, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was crucified. On the 15th of Nisan, Isaac was tricked to bless Jacob. You know the whole story about Israel. On the 15th of Nisan, Gideon's 300 men were picked to destroy the Midian army. On the 15th of Nisan, the angel of God's angel came and killed 185 Assyrian soldiers, 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. And this one's important. On the 15th of Nisan, Haman came to the king and tried to convince him to have all the Jews killed. Only on Purim the next year did he hang on the gallows. Interesting. Are we about to see Ecclesiastes, that which has been will be again? I don't know, but the eclipses sure are pointing to something starting Purim of next year. So we wait and watch.
Yeah,
going to be
excellent.
fascinating how this plays out.
Wow.
And then one of my favorites, Daniel, right? He was thrown in a lion's den on 15th of Nisan, only to not be touched by the lions. They wouldn't touch him. Why? Because he was God's anointed, and the angel would not let one lion touch Daniel.
Yeah, amazing.
Incredible. And then King Belshazzar, and this relates again to present time. Remember the story of the writing on the wall? And then
yes,
God,
of course.
and then it says, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin, you've been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Your kingdoms come to an end and will be given to the Medes and the Persians. King Belshazzar drank from the vessels that were from the holy temple and mocked God on the 15th of Nisan. He died that night after the writing on the wall. And the story goes on. The point is, 15th of Nisan is so powerful. And then back to 400 years, Moses, Israel, Pharaoh, the present day pharaohs. So check this out. The angel of death appeared in Egypt. So they painted blood on the door, so the angel of death passed over on 15 Nisan.
Wow.
This year, that's April 6th.
There it is. Okay. April 6th is what we're watching.
So does anything happen April 6th? God knows, not me. I am simply putting immense, powerful pieces together for the world. Passover begins on the eve of April 5th, and then it ends on April 13th. So which day is critical? I don't know. But basically, the equivalent day would be April 16th relative to Pharaoh and the angel of death.
Okay.
And many prophets have spoken the angel of death. Ken Christmas has stated the angel of death is on the earth right now. And that was stated by Ken Christmas when the Holy Spirit was upon him. So now we're waiting for the strike. So it's right there. So the links are there. You can listen to it, but the angel of death is on the earth. He's been released upon the earth, waiting for God's instructions. So we are now waiting and watching. If you go to page 14, the Red Sea miracle, actually go back one page. For those that were impure, there's a 30-day window that there's a second Passover, and that's written in Numbers 9. So that would be 5/5/5, May 5th. So which day is important? I don't know. I'm giving you important dates that we can all watch together. All I'm saying is God will not be mocked, and this year's going to be historic.
Well, it already has been. We just can't take too much more.
We have it as crazy as it's been. Noah, I'm talking events are about to manifest, Noah, that we cannot fathom, that are going to defy the laws of physics. Don't be surprised if the earth stops rotating. I don't know, but could night become day and day become night for a period of time? That would defy physics, would it not? All I'm saying is that things are going to manifest that we're going to defy physics, that man will not be able to explain. Therefore, God revealing himself to the world that he is God, and he wrote the laws of physics, and he can change anything and everything that he wants. And the physics that we know are only what we know to be the truth, but there's laws that we don't even understand that God operates by, and he's about to do something that are going to defy our understanding of physics. And the people of this world were going to come to realize, because God has to, Christ returns when his name is spoken across the four corners of the earth, means that he has to wake up his bride. We know there's a 1 billion soul harvest coming, right? What better way to wake up the world than to show the world there's a God by defying the laws of physics, by taking God's money, having it multiply in price like you've never seen before, taking the Holy Spirit upon the earth and multiplying the Holy Spirit on this earth, where you're just going to see insane revival like we haven't even seen before. So what's happening at the college right now is this big of what's coming. So historic days are started, and we're just now waiting for things to further manifest. If you go to page 14, another critical date is potentially a Red Sea miracle moment, because this was the day, mathematically, when Israel left Egypt. They got to the Red Sea within 18 days. 8 days they camped out and they crossed. That the 25th day, that would be roughly May 1st, Mayday of this year. So does something happen May 1st? I don't know. I'm telling you, May is going to be as intensely crazy. Things are going to go down in April, which will be probably mind-blowing. May is going to be crazier. So all I know is we are sitting at historically powerful days and window of time here that's about to manifest on earth. It's already begun. We're watching it happen right in front of us here, Noah. So it's exciting, but remember, the media is going to initially portray this stuff as horrible, because remember, Babylon, the world we live in, Mystery Babylon, the world we live in is about to fall apart. So it's going to be horrible. Or is it the opposite, right? It's relative to how you perceive it. So horrible, but on the other end of it, to those who know what's happening, is glory, right? So it's a double-edged sword. So things that the world might initially perceive as, horrible things are happening to the United States and to the world, the death of the United States, the death, and then also it's like Lazarus, and he rose. Lazarus rise on the fourth day, he rose. You have to understand, the United States has to die. The present day jackal, the presidency has to die, so a new can be born. So therefore, you can have 45 return back into office. Why? To rebuild what God destroyed. So that's like the big picture of how this is playing out, how these next few months are critical for the world, and how gold and silver are going to tie into this directly with cryptocurrency, because Proverbs 13:22, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. So the global elite that run the world, how they're doing it all with the money, these are the sinners. Their wealth is stored up for the righteous, for the church. So they're about to witness the greatest attack on their financial system, because God's going to intervene. The BRICS nations are about to attack the US dollar. The financial system as we know it, literally the financial system we use is about to collapse and break. US dollar will lose the status of the world reserve currency, causing gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies to do an absolute moonshot vertical. When all this is happening? Soon. The cycle charts we've got are confirming the word soon. So we're getting to a point where this is really exciting, but at the same time, you have to use the word scary, because this is a Clash of the Titans. So much of the world is going to freak out. Most of the world is going to freak out because you've literally got God about to take on Satan and show Satan that he is in charge. The earth is his footstool. The earth is God's footstool. And everything Satan's done, God has been watching. And God's about to move, just like he moved when he broke open the ground and the great flood happened.
Yeah, well, Bo,
just like what happened to the Red Sea when God parted it and then crushed Pharaoh and his army. So we're here.
I got to go back to something you said just a few minutes ago that because I think we just got a soundbite that we might play over and over and over. I have a feeling when you said things are coming that are going to defy physics. I think that's a soundbite that we might become very famous here, and we might be playing because that is incredible. So we are watching for that. That is, and you don't know what it's going to be. You gave out a few examples. It could be anything, but wow, I can't wait to flash back to that one when we get there.
Yeah, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen because when the ground broke open, it says like as in the days of Noah. When the ground broke open, people were celebrating, hanging out, living their life. And then the ground broke open and the rain started.
Yeah. Wow. Well, listen, Bo,
and everything changed. Everything changed.
Yes. I'm ready for this current world to change, everything to change. Let's do it. Bo, you've been so generous with your time, and I know you do have a hard out coming out here as we're recording this. So I want to get before we let you go, you were talking about it already, but I want to go to your slide and have you talk just a little bit. You said something, a huge move is coming, something, I forget what word you used, a mega move in crypto is coming. Let me get to, by the way, get these slides. I just went over a lot of these that we haven't had time to go to, but download these and look at them. They're amazing.
Yeah, no, we can do another interview and we can from now to add to this. And we'll see, because basically so many things are transpiring right now that, there's so much to talk about. But basically, excellent. We really hit some of the critical time points that we're about to that we are stepping into and we're in right now and we're about to witness. So it started. February started and it's here. It's game on. Okay. God's moving. It's game on. Things are really, really starting to manifest right here, right now. Insane things are already transpiring. And that was just, February was only the start. Wait to see what March brings. And forget March. Wait to see what April brings. And then forget April. Wait to see what May does. It's going to be just 1 month is going to get more intense than the prior. And it's just going to continue like that because the charts all confirm this. So furthermore, go ahead.
Well, I've got your slide up here on the screen for Bitcoin, and I know people will be so mad at me if I don't let you talk about Bitcoin before you go. So here's your slide, and I will just say, because it's I know you don't like to always toot your own horn, but your newsletter and your cycle analysis has hit, I think, every major turning point, up or down since going back to October of 2022. You've had kind of these big moves. You had a period of time where it was just sideways, and you told us that. You said it's going to be boring for a while, and then you told us, you can see on this chart here, when all of these green bars just start going crazy, you told us that was coming. That's when we went from $16,000 Bitcoin up to $24,000 Bitcoin, which, by the way, is like a 40% move. Amazing, in about the span of a month or a couple of weeks, really. And then you had us up to here, and you're telling us that another big couple of moves are coming, and kind of like all the other stuff you said, in the next February, March, April, May, it's going to get wild. So if people want, first of all, what can they expect? And then if people want to get that detail, we are always respectful of the people. This is the one thing that you put out that you do charge for. Everything else you do, you put these slides out for free. You're on this interview for free. So if people want that, it's the one thing that you have a subscription service. They can get it at gold2020forecast.com. You go there, and as you always do, you're giving anybody listening to this right now a discount. When they sign up, when they go to put in their information and sign up, they put WLT49 in the code section. It's going to give you 50% off. You can get in there and read everything and see it all. But Bo, if people want that, or if you want to tell them a little bit more here on the interview, what do you want to say about what's coming?
Well, if you go back up one slide to page 43, all I can say is, as much as you read my reports, Noah, it freaks me out as much as it does you. And what I'm saying is that when I look at the reports, I wrote in October that Bitcoin is going to go sideways, and then it's going to break down through 19,000 and collapse on November 8th. No, it did it to the exact day. There wasn't anybody out there that I know of that predicted that. No, we wrote about that in November. How did I know? Because it was in the cycle. It was in the cycle. Cycles precede events, only to find out that it was FTX scandal of why Bitcoin crashed below 19,000 and then dropped down. But it was in the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened, right? Bitcoin, I wrote in December and even November, but I know for sure in December I wrote, Bitcoin's got an upcycle into the first week of February. Noah, exactly. It topped on February 2nd. You can't make this up. It happened. And then at the end of January, I said Bitcoin's going to drop on February 8th. Noah, it dropped on February 8th.
Yes, it did.
All I'm telling you is that I'm just showing you how life, that which has been, will be again. So God shows me, I understand where to look with regard to cycles. God showed me very clearly. I don't want glory for this. God has shown me how to interpret time. And what did I write this past weekend? Bitcoin, when it dropped on February 8th, it was trading what? Down like at 20,000 range.
Right.
And I said, beginning this week, and I wrote this on Sunday, I believe, or Saturday. I wrote, beginning this week, which we're in right now, expect Bitcoin to rally back up. Noah, it rallied yesterday like 10, 11%, right on the mark. And so I put an update out yesterday going, this is actually the chart from yesterday's update. So I included a chart from yesterday's update dated February 15th. This is the chart that's in our update. I blocked off the rest of it because I have to keep, again, people who want to use these chart patterns for trading, then, that's within, that's within our Bitcoin index. And if you want it for trading, then, that's something that you have to get from us. But I give everything for free. Okay. The point is, as long as you are involved in God's money, gold and silver, cryptocurrency, cryptocurrency are not God's money, but if you're God's money, gold and silver, cryptocurrency, there's nothing wrong with them right now because they're going to be part of the wealth transfer. But if you want to be part of the wealth transfer, then just listen to what I said in the interview here. Get it?
Yeah,
it's all
that's
in there.
good.
But on the other hand, if you want to use it for trading and you want more specific details and dates, then yeah, you can get our Bitcoin indexes because what predicted the crash in November? What predicted the top in February? What predicted the drop on February 8th? All of it's there. Okay. We know what's coming in February. We know what's coming in March, and we know what's coming in April. As crazy as that is, the history since October has proved it. You've seen it happen.
Right.
Like I said, you've seen it happen. You've seen it in our report. So all I'm telling you is that God will not be mocked. A great wealth transfer is coming. When gold and silver break vertical with cryptocurrencies, it's the rise of the new kingdom financial system, which is basically the opposite, meaning the collapse of Mystery Babylon.
Yeah, and that takes us back to where we started. You talked about that collapse of that financial system, and when the dollar collapses, Bitcoin tends to go up pretty crazy. There's a big correlation there. And I zoomed in on this, Bo, because I wanted to show people. You did have that report, and I forget too whether it was Saturday night or Sunday night. But when you put that out, you said, "Watch out for a big jump this week." This is from yesterday. This green bar here, that is Bitcoin moving. And I heard from somebody that percentage-wise, this was one of the biggest one-day candles that Bitcoin has ever had in its history. So, boy, oh boy, did you nail that! And then this blacked out part here is in your report, and again, that's for people that are subscribers. We are respectful of them. And if you'd like to be a subscriber, Bo just said it, and I love how he says it every time, so I'll say it for him, that if you don't want to get this, don't get it. Just listen to the free information here. But if you'd like that additional information, it's available to you. And but otherwise, don't get it. How's that for a sales pitch, Bo? Is that you okay with me telling people that?
Well, the thing is, people have a free choice. It's all free will. What do you choose to do? The bottom line is, I want people, if they have the means, just to listen to what we talked about in this interview. Choose this day whom you will serve. Are you serving and you're using a financial system that's based on smoke and mirrors and believed it to be the truth? Or, do you feel the world's messed up and everything's crazy? And if you believe that God at some point is going to intervene, my only thing is you might want to hold his money. And what's his money? Well, he states it in Haggai 2, verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So if you're holding God's money, if you honestly in your heart believe God's going to act upon this world, because he's not going to let evil mock him, then maybe you should be positioned for that. Now, those who do not have the financial means, the blessings that are coming, I'm going to say this slowly and clearly, the blessings that are coming are going to be so huge that it'll be enough to bless all those around you. So those that do have the means will be so blessed that they'll be able to bless all those around us, around them. Bottom line is, because the greatest financial event in human history is just going to be that. God's going to intervene, and we're going to see insanity happen in the financial markets.
Yeah, very good. What one?
Soon.
Thank you. Very soon. I love the word soon because we need that. This is our last slide here before we hit the end. But I did want to mention this because I have seen so many people who have enjoyed this. So if your head is spinning a little bit right now and you'd love to get into this, and you've certainly heard about Bitcoin in the news and heard us talking about it, if you don't understand it, if you don't know what these symbols are right here on the screen, if you feel like you know the boat is leaving the station and you want to get on board, you don't even know how, you want to make sure you do it right. You don't want to, there are scams out there. There's some of it is hard to learn, and you can make mistakes and lose money when you make mistakes. And Bo and I have both kind of made some of those mistakes along the way and learned from those. And so, right, Bo, have you made a few mistakes?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So anyone that's been in crypto for a while has made a mistake, and that's why I really love this screen. Slide 45. Hey, 45. How about that? Slide 45 is for you, so you don't have to make those mistakes. You can learn from our mistakes, and it's going to tell you from step one to step whatever it is in here, step by step, screen by screen, instruction by instruction of how to get started. If you've never bought a single dollar of Bitcoin, you don't know how to do it. And by the way, some of the other ones are more exciting than Bitcoin actually. And both of these, Bo's newsletter and the school talk about that. But you can just go to easycryptoschool.com and you can sign up over there. You use the exact same discount code Bo will give you, WLT49. You can get in there and all of the modules will be open to you. You can go as slow or as fast through that training as you want. And it's going to tell you how to do it, and it's going to tell you how to do it safely. So I see on the back end how many people are using that and how many people really like it. So I had to mention that. And again, these are all on the slides. There will be links down below this video if you want to get either one of these. Make sure you get your savings and put in WLT49. And both, there is an expiration date on those, so don't think it's going to be there forever, because those do expire and get shut off. So, Bo, you have been so generous to be here with us. I know you have somewhere else that you have to be. Thank you for hanging on late. As always, I love to end this with giving you the last word. So let me get you back up big on the screen. Leave us with the last thought before you go, will you?
I can finish with this. Whatever's going to happen, no man knows. God has not spoken that to his prophets. It's not written in Revelation. We know that when you read Daniel 2, verse 34, and a stone carved out by no human hand comes down and takes down that 2,500 year or story of Babylon, right? So Babylon the Great has fallen. We're going to fall. Watch the fall of Babylon. Mystery Babylon's about to fall. But it's a secret. And the reason is because just like Pharaoh didn't know, very important to understand, Pharaoh and even more importantly, Moses didn't know what was going to happen at the Red Sea. Moses didn't know. He knew God told him to stick out a staff, but God didn't tell Moses what was going to happen. So the final move, the final chess move. So don't tell me that people out there, have some magic answer, they know how this is going to go, or trust the plan. There is no plan except God's plan. And no one knows it. And no one knows the day and the hour God's going to strike. So there is only one plan, and it's God's plan. There is no plan to trust except knowing that God the Father, his Son Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit are in complete control. What's about to happen is going to be biblical. There's a checkmate move coming that God's about to take. When this checkmate move happens, these people that run the world are going to fall. That's going to lead us into This is the third seal of Revelation event, the third seal, the greatest financial event in human history. The rider is sitting on a black horse, which represents their death. The rider has scales in his hands, the greatest financial event in human history. They're rebalancing the financial scales. And then that's going to lead us into an incredible next 3.5 years of the greatest financial event in history, the greatest revival in history, the greatest move of God's Spirit in history. It's going to be just the greatest, the greatest, the greatest. So in closing, God's in control. God's got this. And we now wait for incredible things, for impossible things to manifest on this earth. Again, we're waiting, we're this close to watching impossible things that defy physics about to manifest on this earth. Watch March 6th. Watch April, I believe it was 6th, Passover. And then secondly, we want to watch the start of April, the start of May, which would tie in with something related to the Red Sea miracle. So March, April, May, biblical. God bless you, Noah.
I love it. Our guest for the entire hour has been Bo Polny. Bo, thank you. There's a lot going on. It's speeding up. It's only going to keep speeding up, and that means we'll have you back on again soon. Thanks for being here.